Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Tiffany and this is Tiff in Stitches, and I am here with a knitting podcast. I don't know which one it is, less than 10 that I've done knitting podcasts of, but it has been since April since I have jumped on here and updated you guys. I'm surrounded. I have a ton to show you. I did take notes so that I would not miss anything. I wanted to give you details, and I tried to film this once before and I didn't do very well with the details. And I also went way too fast. So I'm going to try to slow it down, enjoy the process, and just kind of let you guys know what I've been working on. Before we jump into that, if you have stuck around for this entire lapse of me filming, thank you for sticking around. I'm sure you're surprised to see my face. I'm surprised to be filming. So thank you for sticking around. If you're new and you're just now finding me, welcome. It's really nice to meet you. Just a little bit about me since it has been so long. I am a single mom of 2 little boys. My oldest is 7, my youngest is 2, and I have a full-time career, and I dabble in crafting here and there periodically throughout my life for stress relief, for a form of therapy. I like to create things. I like to build something with my own 2 hands. And so that's kind of where this comes in. I did just move. So I tried to get a good shot. I've got a mirror so I can see. So I know you can see the stacks of items around me. Spoilers, but I wanted to just get a clean shot where it wasn't super cluttered. There are boxes all behind you guys. There's stuff everywhere, but I tried to get a good clean shot to where you weren't looking at all of that. So hopefully I succeeded. And I'm somewhat centered, we're trying. But yeah. So I plan on filming more regularly because I am knitting a ton. And I don't want my videos to be this long and this much effort to put together, because it was remembering what I had done and what I had told you and what I hadn't. I had to go back and watch my last video. And a lot of this you hadn't seen, so I have lots to show you. So let's jump in, grab some knitting. You're gonna be here for a minute if you decide you wanna sit through all of this. I did break it up into sections. So I have finished objects, I have half finished objects, which is, there is a very long list. Surprising, I know. Most of the time I watch podcasts, there's 1 or 2, oh, and then they finish it the next week. That is not what has happened here. So I have a lot of half finished objects. And then I have whips, and then I have plans, and then I have some haul, and wanted to tell you guys who I've been watching. I turn to watching knitting podcasts. They inspire me a lot. And I want to tell you guys who's been inspiring me. So those are kind of the sections, so you can kind of pick or choose what you're into. But we'll dive in and we'll start with finished objects. So I have all the notes here. I'm not going to do this in any particular order. I just am going to, you'll hear me turn in the page because I'm going to get to the project I'm talking about. And this particular project was actually a whip until last night, and then I finished it, sort of. I still need to block it and weave in the ends, which is why I'm not wearing it. But this is my Rocket Tee by Tanis Fiber Arts. I started this, I think in May or June of 2021. I got through mostly through the raglan, right where I was supposed to connect the V. And then I put it down and didn't pick it back up until recently. And then maybe a couple weeks ago, I went ahead and joined it in the round and then finished up the raglan and knit a stripe a day until I got to the finishing touches, which are the I-cord. There's an I-cord finish at the bottom on both sleeves and around the neckline. So I did this bind off one day, and then another day, and then the neckline last night. So I gave myself, the sleeves obviously went a little bit faster, but I did give myself, kind of like I did the stripes, I did a bind off per night while me and my mom and my brother were watching a show. So she is done. The yarns that I used for this, so the pretty blue variegated yarn is by Emma's Yarn, and it's in the colorway Calypso, and I love this color. It reminds me of like a sea glass. I don't know, I'm sure you can see that. But the mohair that I used is Rowan Kid Alpaca Silk in cream. So I do have some left over of each. I brought it over here. Here it is. My Ziploc bag, project bag, don't mind me. So this is, I haven't weighed it yet, but this is what I have left of the Emma's yarns. I'm hoping I can use it as a contrast color on some socks because I love this color. And then of the mohair, I had bought 2 skeins. And then to do the I-cord, you have to hold it double. So I split a skein, and this is what I have left. I have a good amount of this left. I don't know what I'll use it for, but I have it. So I think that's everything. Let me see. I knit this on the recommended needles. I knit the size 2, and I will say it fits me differently than the front of the pattern. I'll insert a photo of me wearing it here. But I like it. So I have a bigger bust, and I'm thinner here. So it's a little bit more form-fitting on the top for me than around the waist. So it's kind of blousey on the bottom. I still have to block it, so we'll see how it blocks out. I'm gonna steam block this and see how that goes, and then weave in the ends. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a pretty blouse for work with like high-waisted slacks. I think it's gonna be pretty with jeans, and it's really comfortable on the skin. The alpaca silk is really, really soft. So overall, super happy with this. I'm gonna set things over here on the ground as I finish telling you about them. Okay, the next thing in the pile, I'm gonna save those, and I brought sock blockers with me so that I could show you. These socks I finished for my mom just recently. She has worn them, so they're a little loosey-goosey on the sock blockers. But these are the Stillwater socks by Summer Lee Knits. Let me find them in my notes here so I don't miss any details. Okay, yes, these are by Summer Lee. These are for my mom. Couple things here. So first, the yarn. The body of the sock is knit in Ashen Bumble yarns in the colorway Iris. And then the cuff, heel, and toe are in Cascade Heritage. And I brought it because it's a numbered colorway, and I'm not gonna remember that. 5650, so Cascade Heritage in 5650. And I have plenty of that left, and I have enough of the Iris left, I think, to make myself a pair of these colorwork socks I'm wanting to make. So I'm saving those scraps for me because I love this color. Purple's my favorite color, if you didn't know that about me. But this is a fun like faux cable and textured design by Summer Lee. It was really, really fun to knit, a 4-row repeat, easy to memorize, so highly recommend that. But what I will say is that, and this is a paid for pattern, so I'm not going to give too much away, but she only gives you a 60, 68, or 72 stitch cast on option. And I do a 64 for me. So for my mom, I thought I'm not going to do a 60. So I guess I'll try the 68. And I got probably to like here-ish and tried it on her, and it was like gaping. It was way too big. So I went back. I decided to do a 64 stitch cast on because the pattern was easily divisible by 2. So like there was no reason it wouldn't work with 64 stitches except for the cuff. She had a different cuff here that needed a different amount of stitches. And so I changed the cuff to a 2x2. So that is one thing I changed. And then the only other thing I did was, because I didn't want there to be purl bumps on the front of the sock, I did 1 row of straight stockinette at the bottom of the ribbing. And that way it was an easy transition into the color change. So I do have both of those finished. They're in my mother's possession most of the time. I just borrowed them to show you guys. So there is that. All right, next, you've actually seen one of parts of these projects. It's so stretched out, guys. Are you seeing this? This is my brother's sock I made him, and I just locked these for him the other day, and they're like humongous. They don't fit on my sock blockers, but this will at least give you a good visual of them. And he has a matching hat. So I'll start with the hat, because you guys have actually seen this in my last video. I had started this, and then I put it down for a really long time and picked it up to give it to him for Christmas as like a set. So this is the Sockhead Slouch Beanie. This is a free pattern on Ravelry, and I'll have all of these patterns linked below. This is a free pattern on Ravelry, and I cast on the adult large size, but the only modification I made is they wanted me to knit 10 inches above the ribbing. So like, I think it was 4 inches of ribbing, or 3.5, I think it was 4 inches of ribbing, and then they wanted me to do 10. That would be a 14-inch hat. I cut it short, and like, this thing is huge. Do I look cute? It's huge. He wears it like super duper like slouchy like that, and he wanted it oversized. But if I would have kept knitting, like, it would have been way too big. So he kind of needed like in between a medium and a large probably. This yarn is by Arcane Fiberworks, used to be Ravenswood Fibers, and the color is Flickering Flame. So that is what this is. And with the leftovers from this hat, which, you know, if you make an adult large, it's a one skein project, but you have a good amount left over. I was able to make him some contrasting heel, toes, and cuffs for some socks, which he wears consistently, which is why they look like this. He wears them almost every night to sleep because his feet get cold. And this is just a vanilla sock pattern. It won't even stay on the sock blocker, guys. This is a vanilla pattern. I'm just gonna put it down and tell you a little bit about it. So the contrast yarn, or the main color yarn on those, is a Hobby Lobby Yarn Bee hand-dyed yarn. I don't know if it's hand-dyed. It kind of seems like they make it in bulk, so it's probably machine dyed, but it's made to look hand-dyed. And it's called Iron Soot. And I paired that with the Flickering Flame, thought it was manly, but he would like it. And for the cuff, I did a 2x2 rib, and then I continued that 2x2 rib down the front of the sock, doing stockinette on the back of the sock. And he has a size 13 foot, so I feel like I was just knitting forever and ever and ever. But you know, it was worth it. He's very much knit worthy. He wears them all the time. He wears his hat all the time. So I cannot complain about knitting him these, because he loves them, and they're well worn and well loved. I'm sure they're gonna have holes in them soon because he wears them so much. Okay, my next finished object, I think I told you everything about that. Did I tell you everything about the socks that I wanted to? Yeah, I went into some detail about how I did 70 rows for the leg, carrying the 2x2 rib down the front, slip stitch, heel flap, and gusset. That's my go-to, just so you know, on all of my socks. I don't do fish lip kiss. I don't do afterthought. I have a very high arch, like extremely high arch, and I just find that the slip stitch fits me really well, and that's just what I make for everybody, and I haven't had any complaints so far. If I were to make him another pair, I did put this note. You saw how stretched out those are. I did cast on 72 stitches for him because he's a 6'3" man. I think if I make him another pair down the road, I would either cast on 68 or 64, because those just, they're not holding up in terms of stretch. And they do have nylon content, so I'm not really sure why, but they're very wide on him. So I'd probably reduce that a little bit. Okay, my next finished object is my outline tank by Jessie Made Designs. I finished this back this summer. My first garment I ever finished, and loved it. This yarn is Treehouse Knits Mystery Club colorway for March of 21. She did a club where she would like post a picture of like a scene, like a beach or a forest or, you know, whatever, and then you would purchase it as a mystery, you know, having not seen the color. And this, I can't remember what this picture was, but this was the finished product for March. This pattern, I did write down some prices of some patterns here. So the Stillwater socks, which were the purple ones, for my mom. This pattern is $5 on Ravelry, and I'll link all of this below. The Rocket Tee, I don't have a price listed for that. I'll look it up and put it down below. But this top is a $9 pattern on Ravelry. It's a good one skein stash buster. This was only one skein, but I will tell you this. I wish I would have had two. This was a entire skein. Like, I was worried I was going to play yarn chicken with this, and I wish it was a little bit longer. I can wear it with high-waisted jeans, and I think it looks good, but I wish it was a little bit longer. That being said, I still love it, and it was like just such an achievement to knit my first garment. I followed this pattern. I used the recommended needle size. I got gauge with that. I did do a gauge swatch for this, but I ended up using the gauge swatch in the shirt because I was literally out of yarn. The only thing I read in the pattern that people said that the straps were too short, so I extended them based on some recommendations. It does fit me really well. I'll insert a picture here of me wearing it, but I do wish maybe I would have, because of the weight of the garment, they've stretched out a little bit. I wish I wouldn't have put so much extra in. I think I did 2 inches extra, or 1.5 inches extra on each strap. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say about this. It was really, really fun to slip the stitches, although a little bit scary, I'm not gonna lie. Let me see. Anything else on this? Nope. No, that's it. Okay, so that's that finished object. Next, okay, so this was a test knit that I did for the Slip Slip Sis sisters, Shay and Gabby, and this is called their Drought Tolerant Cowl. This was one of my first attempts at color work. I can't remember if I knitted this one first or there's a pair of a half finished object. It's a sock that I'm going to show you, but it was one of my first attempts at color work, and you can tell that my tension is a little bit weird here. I really, really enjoyed knitting it, but I do, where the color work tension gets off is the pink. I don't know if you guys can see, there's like some pink flowers on the cacti, and they're very spread out, and I did not do a good job of like catching my floats in a way that they weren't tight. So the pink yarn is like where I get the most tension. I did fairly good on the green and the teal, but the pink I did not do great on, and it caused a little bit of you know, tension issues. But let me tell you about the yarns for this. So I knit this in, the main color is Chasing Rabbits in the color Ocean. I got that at a local yarn shop called Pearly Girl here in Spring. And then the other two, I do not know the name of the green. I know that it is La Jolla Mini in like a green colorway. The pink is from Hugh Loco's July Birthstone mini skein set that I bought. And I just thought it would be perfect as the flowers for the cacti. So that is the Drought Tolerant Cowl. It is available on Ravelry, and it's only a $3 pattern. So if you wear cowls, then it's a good one. It does fit me. It goes over my head just fine. So I never know how to wear these. I live in Texas, guys. I don't wear cowls, but you know, I feel like if I wear it like that, you can't really see the cacti. I feel like it kind of needs to be like felted a little bit so that it like stands up. But it does fit over my head, and I do love the colors of it, and I do recommend the pattern. It's 3-stranded color work. It was one of my first attempts. If I was doing it now, I think it would look a lot better. Maybe I'll knit it again one day. You never know. I think that is everything for that. I did knit these on ChiaoGoo red lace and went up for the color work a size. So there's that. Next, this one's a fun one, and I'm pretty sure I haven't shown this to you guys, if I can find the top of it. So I do have a progress keeper on here, so maybe I showed it at some point. when I was way back in the beginning. I didn't see it in my last video, so I'm gonna take this off because it needs to go in the mail. This is a gift. This is, I don't know if this is from, I have 2 different places I've ordered stitch markers from, and I can't tell you where that one's from off the top of my head. But this is my All About That Brioche shawl that I knit for my friend Leanne, who lives in Michigan. We met via FlossTube or Instagram, and we've just become really good friends. And so when I was taking this brioche class, I wanted to make something for her. And I took a class from my friend Elise here in Houston. She taught a class. She's a yarn dyer and a very experienced knitter. She makes beautiful shawls and sweaters and all sorts of things. So she taught a class at a different local yarn shop called Yarn Store Boutique in Spring, Texas. And I learned how to brioche. So this shawl is kind of a unique construction. You start kind of up here on the tail end, and then you increase, brioche, and then your final rows are like the gray, which are extra long. The yarn I used for this is Hobby Lobby Yarn Bee, and that is in, where is it? Oh, here it is. Iron Soot, which is the same color I used on my brother's socks. And then the purple color is called Lavender Dusk. And I just really like how they knit up together. So now I've shown you, and I can put this in the mail to her. I use the recommended needle size for this. I usually do for shawls, just because what does it really matter if they're a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller? But I think I did just fine. I think it's a perfect size. Let me show you how it wears. So you take it like this. So it's plenty big enough for sure. So a little pop of purple, a little pop of gray. I think it's really cool. And I hope she likes it. So that'll go in the mail to her. Okay, next is a pair of socks I made for me. Guys, I finally have a pair of socks. I haven't woven in the ends on that one. All of them. There was a lot of ends on these. So I will show you this one because I did weave in all the ends on this one. So this is a kind of a scrappy sock, I would say. It's the same concept as a scrappy sock. This is just a vanilla sock for me. I did 10 rows of twisted rib with one color, which I also used for the heel and toe. And then I did 10 rows stripes of each of the colors outside of the one I used in my cowl from the July Birthstone set from Hue Loco. And I just kind of put it all together, and I did a 70 row leg, and then I did an 80 row foot. I usually do a 75 row foot, but because I was doing stripes with 10 rows, I didn't want to have like a little short stubby stripe. So I did 80, and they're a little bit big, but they're comfortable, and I've worn them a lot, and I love them. So I knit these on. I knit these Magic Loop size 1, 2.25 millimeter needles, and just really I loved them. Rounded toe. Oh, I do my vanilla socks. I base off of Crazy Sock Lady Kay Litton, off of her slip stitch heel numbers and her rounded toe numbers. That's just what I always use. It fits me good. So just know that that's, for the most part, that's what I use for my patterns. I have it memorized, and that's how I do it. Okay, so I'm going to show you, I'll show you this, and then I'm going to show you those socks, because there's a matching sock that's a half finished object. So I haven't woven in the ends of this yet. This is a crochet project that I finished one of. This is called the Easy Ripple Dish Towel. And it is a wavy pattern, if that is coming across, dish towel. Now, I knit this on the recommended hook, I crocheted this on the recommended hook, which is a J. I plan on making more of these, and I plan on using a much smaller hook. This is a little bit too airy for me to actually use it as a dish towel. It's more like decor this size. But I think if I use like an H hook, then it might be dense enough to like use. But this one has two colors. There are some wavy stripes in here at the top and at the bottom. The main color for this is, I love this cotton in emerald pine. And then this is the stripe color for this one. And it is, I love this cotton in the color forest. So I do have yarn to make some other color combinations that will be like a matching set. So the plan is to make a set of these. But like I said, I think I would go a little bit smaller in order to make them. So that is that finished object. I'm sure you can see this pile down here, but that's okay. Okay, is this the last finished object? Hold on, let me check. The cowl, the tank, the socks for me, the Stillwater socks, my brother's socks, my brother's hat, all about that brioche, the easy rippled dish towel, and then Carter's socks. Yes, this is the last finished object. So this is Carter, my son's socks. I don't think they're gonna fit on this sock blocker, but they're just a plain vanilla sock, but I'll see if I can at least get them. Oh, they fit. Okay, so these are my 7-year-old's socks that I knit him. They are just a vanilla sock. I did kind of do some like fitted adjustments for his foot and leg. So I cast on 60 stitches. I did a 2x2 rib. I knit 40 rows for the leg, and then I did a slip stitch, heel flap, and gusset. But when I went to do the gusset, I reduced down 2 stitches on the top of the foot so that when I finished up the gusset, I would have 56 stitches instead of 60, because I knew his foot was a little bit thinner. And then I knit to the desired length and did a rounded toe all in one color. It was nice to not have so many ends to weave in. This color is Treehouse Knits July 21 mystery colorway. I did purchase a lot of her colorways in 2021. And this is another one that was based on a picture, and he liked it. His favorite color is red, so that's what I did. And I made him both of those, and he loves them, and he wears them on the weekends, like when he's lounging around watching cartoons. So on that note, let me get into my half-finished object. And I will show you that I have made my youngest, which this will not go on a sock blocker, a little matching sock. How cute is it for my 2-year-old? So same yarn. For this one, I had no idea what to cast on to make sure it fit him. So what I did was I went to Ravelry, and Tin Can Knits has a free pattern. I think it's called the Rye Socks, or I'm not sure 100%. I'll link it below. But they have a toddler size, and so it's a free pattern. So I was just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna cast on what they say would fit a toddler, and then I'll make him these. So I cast on 44 stitches, needless to say. I did, because it was 44 stitches, the ribbing is a little bit off. It's a 2x2 rib, except on either side, it's 4 knit stitches, but I figured it was fine. I did a 20 row leg, did a slip stitch, heel flap, and gusset, and then just knit until I needed to do a little toe for him. I did do more rapid decreases on, I did less rapid decreases on the toe just to not make it really stubby since it was such a little one. So I kind of just accommodated for that. Usually I start doing rapid decreases when I have 16 stitches on the needles, and for him, I waited until I had 14 stitches on the needles, and then went down to 8, and then Kitchenered. So I just kind of gave myself a little extra room before I did the rapid decreases, and I think it made like a really good shape for the toe. So I will, when I get into whips, I do have, just to let you know now, I do have his other sock cast on. This is a whip that I'm working on with my leftovers here. So that will be done soon. It doesn't take long to knit up that little bitty sock. Okay. Half finished objects. Here we go. These are all behind me. So what's next? Okay. These are a test knit. These are almost all test knits. I have one that's not. And that's because when you do a test knit, you're only required to do one sock, and I have a really hard time completing the other one. So it's a goal. We'll talk about it. These are dirty. I did wear them and they're white, so don't mind that. But these are the Sweetheart socks by Natalie from Nitty Natty. She has a YouTube channel. I'm sure you've heard of her unless you're living under a rock, but she's a designer as well. And she did design these socks in collaboration with Moonglow Yarn Co. I did not use the Moonglow yarn kit. A lot of people did, but I went ahead and picked out scraps and just got the main color. So I did write down, these are my scraps. You've seen some of these colors before. So I did write everything down. So the main color is Malabrigo Bear yarn. The colors, let me see if I can tell you in order. The top is from Black Sheep Dye Works. It was a mini skein in the color Blackberry Tonal. The green is also from Black Sheep Dye Works. It was a mini skein in the color Lettuce Tonal. The gray is that Iron Soot from Hobby Lobby again. This just shows up in all my projects. The purple is actually a full skein that I'm going to use for another project, but I figured I had enough to do the color work here, and that is Savvy Skeins in the colorway Scottish Heather. This is the Chasing Rabbits Ocean that was in my my drought tolerant cowl, and then this is the Lavender Dusk from Yarn Bee from Hobby Lobby that was in my shawl. And so I used the colors that I had, and I knit these for my first time ever using 9-inch circulars because I was told that they would be a little bit better to do the color work with. They could help with my tension. So I cast on with 9-inch circulars. I used 9-inch circulars until I did the heel flap, and then I switched over to Magic Loop, finished out the foot Magic Loop just because that's where I'm comfortable. And I have perfect tension on these. I have no issue with getting them on. They don't pull or anything like that. They turned out really great. So I did knit them kind of inside out. I don't know if I can even show you, but when I was knitting the color work, let's see if I can give you a visual. So like I had my needles this way, right? And I'm knitting, but I'm knitting with it inside out, and it gave me a little bit more room, I think, in my floats. The girls in the group told me to try that, and it worked wonderfully. So highly recommend this pattern. It is for sale now. It's a $5 pattern on Ravelry. They do have a knit along going on. I was gonna cast on the second sock, and I honestly haven't done it. I need to, but it ends at the end of February. But just jump on and knit them. They're great. I highly recommend the pattern. It was really fun. The color changes were fun. The color work was fun. Really enjoyed this one. So that is a half finished object. Where's my bag of yarns? I just lost it. Oh, here it is. Okay, I'm trying to keep these all together so that I can pick up and knit it with all that I need to do so. All right, next half finished object. This goes in plans. Okay, you guys have seen this before. This is my String of Hearts sock by Maddie Hobbs. I did finish this since my last video. I finished this a while ago, probably back in April, May. Love this sock. Need to knit the second one. It's a problem, but it's gonna happen because I am in love with this yarn combination and with the cables. I think it's beautiful. The contrast color here is Emma's Yarns in the color Hot Tamale. I have it here to show you guys. Hot Tamale, I love this color. I will be knitting a shorty sock at the very least with the leftovers from this because it's beautiful. And then the main color is Hedgehog Fibers in, what color is it in? Coral. So that's the main color here. I cast on the 64 stitch option because that's my go-to. And I will say that for the cables, I used a size 0 double pointed needle and slip stitch heel, rounded toe, you know, all the go-tos. Loved this pattern. This pattern is for sale now, even though I did it as a test knit. That was a while ago, and it's a $6 pattern. So definitely, I know a lot of people have knit this. They're beautiful. Highly recommend. We'll be finishing that. I will be finishing it. Just add to my pile here. I'm gonna clean all this up. Okay, what's next? What's on top here? All right, this is another test knit for Slip Slip Sis. And this is their fence post sock. This is my first and only shorty sock, but I love it and I want to make more shorty socks. I knit this in my friend Elise, the one who taught me the brioche class. She is also a yarn dyer and this is her yarn. I cannot find the label anywhere, so Elise, feel free to comment below what this colorway is. I cannot remember. I might have talked about it on my Instagram. If I did, I'll list it below. But this is her yarn and it's beautiful. I love it, very pastel. And this is the fence post sock. So, what do I have about this one? I knitted it Magic Loop, US 1, 2.25 millimeter needles. This is part of an ebook on Ravelry. You can get the pattern alone, but it is part of an ebook. They released it in an ebook called the Sun and Fog collection, which contains 5 shawls, 1 sock, 1 vest, and 1 bag. So that ebook is $16, or you can buy the pattern by itself for $6. And this one's gonna be my next cast on for myself because it goes so fast. The pattern is super fun and easy to memorize, and it would be quick because it's a shorty and I can have another pair of socks. Because right now I only have 1 pair for myself. Of everything that I've knit, I only have 1 pair of socks that's completed. All right, next. This is another test knit for Slip Slip Sis, but I did change this recently. I knew I was gonna have to, but I put it off and it lingered for a long time, and then I adjusted it the other night. It is a little dirty as well. Let me see if I can, well, it's white yarn. You just have to see the dirtiness. This is the Everybody Cut Loose socks from Slip Slip Sis. Very textured, very fun, lot of twisted rib. So if you're a fan of twisted rib, these are the socks for you. And what I changed, I'll insert a picture here of what these originally looked like. Because when I did the test knit, I wanted them to be a cohesive, like, pretty look, but I knew I did not have enough of this green to do a full 20 row cuff, heel, and toe. So what I did so that I can finish this pair is the other night I went ahead and picked up stitches on the toe, ripped the toe back with the green yarn, and put in the other mini skein that was part of this sock set. It was always intended to have 2 colors. I just thought that all green looked cleaner for the test knit photos, and then I went back and fixed it. So this is them. The leg is like a combo of moss stitch and twisted rib, and it's just a really fun pattern. The yarn I used here is the Creative Knitter sock set in Lilacs in Bloom. She uses an 80/20, and it is a very plump, very soft yarn. I love her yarn, but just know that it's very plump. So, you know, it goes a little bit further than with a single ply or 75/25 base. This one's a little bit fluffier and gives you a little bit more room. I could probably, with 80/20 yarn, cast on 60 stitches and it would fit me just fine. I did not. This is 64 stitches, knit Magic Loop, but I probably could. So that is, this white came with the sock set. The green did as well. So this is all part of the sock set. I just didn't use the whole sock set at first. Okay, last test knit of the bunch in the half knit objects, half finished objects. I have not woven in the ends on this one yet, if I can get it on the blocker. This is the Paschal Lamb Socks by Knittergy, which is Hillary Ishii. She's Knittergy on Instagram and Ravelry. And this is a fun colorwork sock that has the Paschal Lamb on the top. If you guys can see that. She wrote up a really pretty biblical explanation for this pattern, and I did test knit this for her a while ago this summer. The yarns I used here are Knit Picks Stroll Tweed in Barn Door Heather is the maroon, Down Heather is the gray, and Rabbit Heather is the brown. And my colorwork tension is not great on these either. They are hard for me to get on, and I'm debating because the colorwork would be easy to pick up these stitches and then redo the color work in the cuff and then just bind off with like a stretchy bind off. And I think I might do that for these because I don't think I'll wear them unless I fix it. So if I'm gonna knit the other one, then I need to fix that. So that will probably be my next step on those. But yeah, I followed the 64 stitch pattern. I just added this little blip of color at the top, and then I added a blip of color on the toe just to give it a little interest, but other than that, I followed the pattern. Okay, so my last half finished object is not a test knit. This is a gift knit that I am making. I started it actually pretty recently for somebody that I interact with from time to time, and they saw me knitting and they said, could you knit me a pair? And they deserve a pair of socks. I think they've been through some things, and so I'm knitting them socks. And this is her sock. She said her favorite colors were pink and purple, and I found this yarn in my stash. This is Hedgehog Fibers in the color Rose Hip and the color Melon. I had mini skeins. I had 4 mini skeins of Rose Hip and then 1 mini skein of the Melon. So I am using those to knit this. And she just told me she was a size 9 foot. I'm a size 8.5. So what I did was I followed my vanilla sock pattern, but did the 80 stitches on the foot. And she tried it on last week and it fit her pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and knit the second one for her. So that is a vanilla sock that I'm making. I love this yarn. I hope she loves it. On the second sock, I'm going to try helical knitting because I did do a yarn switch out every 2 rows, and I'm going to try helical because I think that it would be a better, it's a little, you can see the jog of the yarns crossing. So I'm going to try that, and we'll see how it goes. So that's my last half finished object, I'm pretty sure. Let me make sure I covered them all. Jackson socks, Sweetheart socks, fence post, Everybody Cut Loose, String of Hearts, Paschal Lamb, and then vanilla socks. Yes. Okay, whips. We're almost done. We're getting there, guys. I have way less whips than I had finished objects, so that's good. So this is my Desert Strata shawl. You guys have seen this before. I have a progress keeper from the last time that you saw it. And I actually have knit more than this, but I had to rip back because I miscounted on something and it was wrong. So I probably had knit a whole nother section about this size, and I ripped it back the other night to have this ready to go when I'm ready to work on it again. But this is the Desert Strata shawl. This is a mosaic shawl. I actually have the pattern with me. I can show you what it's gonna look like. I have like a book that I keep my patterns in. Okay, so this is the Desert Strata shawl by Webster Street Knittery. And the colors that I am using are Autumn and Indigo in Rosewood, which is the color that you see now. And then I have La Jolla in their La Perla colorway. And then the color that's not in there yet that you'll see soon enough is Fangirl Fiber. No, that's not right. Yeah, Fangirl in Time and Again is the colorway. So that is a whip that I definitely want to get done. I love this shawl design. I was drawn to it the minute that I saw it. I just need to sit down and put in some good work on that. But I will say I've been on a garment kit lately. I want to cast on all the garments. So yeah. My Rocket Tee I finished, so that's no longer a whip. Jackson's second sock you already saw. I have the cuff and 10 rows of the leg done on his second one, and that will be something that I'm working on. And then I have a scrappy granny stripe blanket that I wanted to show you guys. Make sure that I don't, my hook just fell out of somewhere, so I gotta find where the yarn is here. Here we go. Okay, I'm using a size D hook, and this is my stripy blanket. I am just using scraps of projects that I finished. I chained 302. I did a single row, a single crochet row, and then every other row is double crochet into the last row. I know a lot of people do clusters, but I live in Texas, so I didn't want this to be like too thick. I wanted it to be kind of a lightweight blanket. And so you can see I've got my brother's socks and hat in there. I've got a cowl that I finished back in April that you guys saw in my last video. I have my drought tolerant cowl, and then these yarns are all from my socks from Hue Loco. So just slowly but surely working through the projects that I finished into that. All right, so that's all my whips. I have one UFO that I do want to talk about. It was a test knit, and I am going to knit it. I just need to rip this back and just start over. And because for a couple reasons. First of all, I was knitting them 2 at a time, and I hate knitting socks 2 at a time. It's something I've discovered about myself. I don't like it. I don't want to do it. Everything is twisted. You can see everything is twisted. Funny enough, these are called the Twisted Sister socks by Slip Slip Sis. So maybe it was like fate that they're all twisted up. But this yarn is beautiful as well. But I did not account for the purl bumps on the front, which I hate that. So I need to rip it back for that reason. Also, you know, in the test knit process, there was an error found in the cables, and I had already knit, and so my cables at the beginning look different from my cables after they found the error. And then last reason is because this is all the same skein of yarn. I'm just pulling from 2 different ends, and they're completely different colors. I don't know if you can see that. But I need to handle yarn management a little bit different with these. Like the front is especially apparent. They're 2 different. Well, I can't get them. Hold on. They're not close enough together on here. They're 2 different colors completely. There's much more purple in this one, and this one's much more blue. The cuff is the Blackberry tonal that I used in my Sweetheart Socks mini skein. And then the main yarn is a Palmer yarn that my friend from Melly Ellie Stitches, she got me, and I do not know the color. I don't know where the label is. But I love this. I love this combo. I want these socks, but I got to start them over. I did want to touch that I have knit these since you saw me last. They were a test knit that I did not finish. I'm sorry, Shay and Gabs. I'm sorry. I finished all your other ones, but that one just got away from me. So that's that. And then we're going to move into plans real quick. So I did frog a project that you had seen before. If you've been around for a while, then you know I had started Joji Locatelli's Boxy in this yarn, which is called, what's it called? Dark Denim by Yarn Bee. I have 4 skeins of this, and it's like a black and navy blue variegated yarn. Love the yarn, love the color. Decided I don't want a boxy sweater. Just wasn't going to finish it. So I am repurposing this yarn for another Joji pattern that she just came out with called Marble Mount. So I'll show you guys what that looks like because I have it in my binder here, ready to go. So this is Marble Mount. It is a circular yoke sweater. It's kind of fitted. I think it's professional. I do work in a corporate environment, so I think it would be a good sweater to have during the winter to wear with slacks or like a skirt, pencil skirt. I think it would look really nice. So I'm going to use that yarn for that project. So that is my first plan. Well, not my first. I'm probably not going to cast that on first, but it is in my plans. I have the pattern purchased and printed out, so I will be casting that on soon. I need that again. My next plan is I bought a cone of yarn from Holst Garn. And I'll tell you, I've been following someone that she uses this yarn, and I wanted to try it. It's super affordable. This is from Denmark. It did take a little bit to get to me, but this is a 500-gram cone. The yardage is insane. And I got it for with shipping, $28 for a sweater's quantity of yarn, which is pretty crazy. Very, very affordable. This is my little swatch. It is an interesting yarn because it still has the spinning oil in it, which is part of the reason why it's so cheap. They don't wash it. So you have to soak it pretty significantly when you're done knitting with it. But I did hold it double for this swatch, and I did rinse it twice, and it bloomed pretty wonderfully, and it feels a lot different than when I was knitting with it. But I think it's going to be, it's a rustic, it's 100% wool. There's a tag on the inside. 100% wool in bleached white is the color that I got. They have tons of colors, and I plan on getting more. And for this yarn, this is what I'm going to cast on next. I am going to knit by, the pattern is by Petite Knit, and it is called Anchor's Summer Sweater, I think. Yeah. So this right here is what I'm going to knit with that yarn. And I'm going to cast that on soon. I tend to lean towards short sleeve knits because I do live in Texas. I don't get a lot of opportunity to wear long sleeve knits. So that's what this yarn is destined for. I did go ahead and split off some 50-gram balls because I am going to hold this double. It's a very fine yarn. So in order to get the DK weight, which I did get gauge, I have to hold it double. So I split that off. So one strand will come from the cone, one will come from this. And I'm really excited. I'm casting that on tonight. So you guys will see that started in my next video. I do want to do 3 more Easy Ripple dishcloths, and then I got this yarn, which is Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek DK in the color Oxblood, and I have another color that I haven't gotten yet. They didn't have the color at my Hobby Lobby, so I've got to go to a different one. And I'm going to do a colorwork sweater with this by Jennifer Steingass. So if I start that soon, it'll be long sleeve. If I start that soon, I will let you guys know. I got 3 balls of this. I think it's a beautiful color. It's my color. You can see in my pants, I wear this color a lot. And then the last plan I have is to finish my half-finished socks that you all just saw, because it's a problem. And I need to finish them so I can wear them. My new house has tile throughout a lot of the house, and it's cold. So it would be nice to have knitted socks. All right, real quick, we're gonna talk about haul. I have plenty more that I've bought since I've seen you last, but we would be here for ages. So I'm just gonna show you what I got recently. I ordered Rose Hill Yarns was having a sale, I think is how I ordered, or I'm not sure. Oh, I'm missing one of the skeins I bought. Hold on, let me grab it, because it's my favorite one. It's my favorite. I have my sock sets and my skeins divided, and this was not a sock set, so it was in a different section. So these are my little 50-gram sock sets that I ordered. This one is in the color Barn Owl. This one is in the color Holiday Peppermint. And this one is Ice Cream Sprinkles, which is probably my favorite. I love these colors too, though. I can go either way. But these are like my palette, like with the burgundies and like the muted tones and the kind of sagey greens. I love it. But then like the bright on the socks, like excites me. So those 3 are from Rose Hill Yarns, in case you didn't get to see the label good. They are 75% merino, 25% nylon. And then this is the main skein, 100 grams, that I got from her in her color Vintage Claws. Ooh. And I'm in love with this. I'm making myself Christmas socks out of this next year. And this is also 75-25. But you get 463 yards, so that's a pretty generous skein. And then she's in Canada, so I will say the shipping did take a little bit, usually does at the US border, but worth the wait. And then I got 2 colors from Dragon Horde. I had never ordered from her before, and I wanted to try her sock sets, especially this one because I told you my favorite color is purple. This is her Persephone colorway, 75% merino, 25% nylon, and you get the main color and the contrast. I love this. And then this is the color Aphrodite, and I might use a different mini with this, pull out the burgundies a little bit more, I think. I have some leftovers from my ruby set that I think would pair good with this, but we'll see what happens. But this is my other color from her. And then the last haul I want to show you is another sock set, and this is from Creative Knitter, which I showed you my lilacs and bloom I'm already knitting with. But this is her Winter Wonderland sock set, and I just fell in love. It's got the lavenders and it's got some dark purples, and I just love it. I cannot wait to knit with this yarn. Cannot wait. All right, last thing. I just want to tell you guys a couple people I've been watching, and then we're done. Thank you for hanging in there with me. So my latest addiction, which I'm sure she'd be happy to find out, is Inga from Knitting Traditions. I am binging. I have watched every one of her videos almost. I think I have like 5 left to be completely caught up. So I went back and watched her from the beginning, and she inspires me. She lives in Norway, the west coast of Norway. She's a doctor, and she knits beautifully. She knits garments, so many garments. And I'm like, how do you even finish all of those? But a lot of summer tops, like she shows off, which inspire me here in Texas. And, but her knitting is just beautiful. It's beautiful. She makes socks, she makes shawls, she makes blankets, a lot of garments. She just made a pair of pants. She's amazing. So if you haven't watched her, watch her. She is who I found out about Hulskarn through. Highly recommend her. The next person that I always watch is Amy from Noble Character Crafts. She is like my peaceful go-to. Like I could just rewatch her videos if I'm like stressed, or I don't even know, like she just centers me. She has a lot of God present in what she does. She actually used to dye yarn, and all of her yarn was named after Bible verses. Just like a great woman, and she knits like wildfire as well. She makes a lot of garments, so it just inspires me. I learn a lot from her and Inga about just like tailoring patterns to fit you, and like, you know, just all the things that they do. Amy is very experimental and like, okay, look, what if I can try to do this? And you know, she does, and she's successful most of the time, and so it like just gives you confidence to like branch out. I just recently started watching Emma from Potter and Bloom, and her British accent gives me life, and she's very funny and sarcastic and has the same type of humor as me, so I really enjoy watching her. She knits a lot of socks and sweaters and garments as well. And then, of course, I always watch Nitty Natty Natalie. She's probably one of the first podcasts that I ever got into. I binged her a long time ago and got caught up to date, and so I watch all of her new podcasts. And then last but not least is Kay, the Crazy Sock Lady. Love her. I just relate to her. We're around the same age. I'm 34, but we're like in the same age group, and she has 2 boys. I have 2 boys. She loves to knit socks. I love to knit socks. Just a lot of things. Like burgundy is one of her favorite colors. It's one of my favorite colors. So I just relate to her a lot, and I love watching her videos. I watched all of her Vlogmas this year. So if you guys need some people to watch, that is who I would recommend at this point in time. And that's it for me. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Thanks for sticking around and hanging out through all of that. I know it was a lot, but I will be back end of March to give you guys an update, and it won't take this long. Hopefully. You never know. I can talk a lot, but hopefully it won't take that long. So I enjoyed it. I'm glad to be back. Thank you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye.